20 Japan travel mistakes tourists always regret.
Samurai Junjiro Channel.
Hi, I'm Samurai Junjiro, born and raised in Japan. Your first trip to Japan should be exciting, not full of mistakes. But many tourists unintentionally make mistakes because of cultural differences, social manners, or transportation rules. So in this video, we'll highlight 20 common travel mistakes explained from a Japanese perspective. By knowing these in advance, your trip will be smoother, safer, and way more enjoyable. Now, let's get started! Number 1. Train etiquette, noise, and phone calls. Trains in Japan are very quiet, and manners are highly valued. However, many tourists break these rules without realizing it. One of the most common mistakes is talking loudly or making phone calls. In Japan, making phone calls on trains is generally discouraged. You may even hear announcements asking passengers to switch their phones to silent mode. Even when talking with friends, you should keep your voice down. What feels normal in other countries may be considered loud in Japan. Especially during rush hours, almost everyone remains quiet. Many people are either on their phones or sleeping. That's why maintaining a quiet environment is important. If you receive a call, it's common not to answer and call back later. If it's urgent, step off the train before answering. Just being mindful of this can greatly improve how you are perceived in Japan. Number 2. JR Pass mistake. Before coming to Japan, many travelers buy a JR Pass. It looks very convenient and cost-effective, so many people buy it without much thought. However, in many cases, it doesn't actually save you money. Especially if you stay in one city like Tokyo or Osaka, you need to be careful. If you only travel within a city, you won't get full value from the pass. The JR Pass is most useful for long-distance travel, like the Shinkansen. On the other hand, if you don't travel much, it can end up being more expensive. It's also important to note that prices have increased significantly since 2023. It is no longer something you should buy just in case. In some cases, buying individual tickets can be cheaper. Using IC cards or regional passes is often more practical. Before buying, calculate your travel route and costs. This alone can help you avoid unnecessary expenses. The JR Pass is useful, but it's not necessarily for every traveler. It's important to choose based on your travel style. Number 3. Overpack in your itinerary. One of the most common mistakes in Japan travel is overpacking your itinerary. People try to visit as many places as possible in a limited time. However, this often lowers the overall quality of the trip. Travel time and transfers often take longer than expected. Tourist spots in Japan can also be crowded, causing delays. You also need to consider waiting times at restaurants and attractions. If you plan too much, your trip can become all about moving from place to place. A better approach is to plan fewer activities per day. A relaxed schedule allows you to be more flexible. You'll also have time for unexpected discoveries or to stay longer at places you like. Leaving spaces in your plan will make your trip more enjoyable. Number 4. No trash cans in Japan. One thing that surprises many visitors in Japan is the lack of public trash cans. Trash cans that are common in other countries are hard to find in Japan. As a result, many travelers struggle to find a place to throw things away. In some cases, you also need to separate your trash carefully. For example, trash is often divided into burnable waste, plastics, cans, and bottles. If you don't separate it properly, you may not be able to throw it away. That's why it's common in Japan to carry your trash with you. Carrying a small bag for trash is very helpful. Many people throw away their trash after returning to their hotel. This habit is also one reason why Japanese streets are so clean. Number 5. Not using Visit Japan web. One thing many travelers overlook when entering Japan is pre-registration. One of the most important tools is Visit Japan web. This is an online system that allows you to complete immigration and customs procedures in advance. By entering your information in advance, the process at the airport becomes much smoother. Once you complete the registration, you will receive a QR code. At the airport, you can simply show the QR code to proceed. You don't need to fill out paper forms, which saves time. This can make a big difference, especially at busy airports. Registration for Visit Japan web is free and can be done easily on your smartphone. It only takes a few minutes, so it's best to do it before departure. Preparation is key to a smooth arrival. Number 6. Eating while walking. In Japan, eating while walking is not very common. Many tourists do this without realizing it. Even if it's normal in other countries, it can be seen as bad manners in Japan. In cities especially, it's generally expected to avoid eating while walking. One reason is to avoid making a mess in public spaces. There's a risk of spilling food or drinks. In crowded areas, you might also bump into others. That's why people usually stop and eat in one place. At street food stalls, there's often a designated area to eat nearby. It's natural to eat there before moving on. Number 7. Not lining up properly. In Japan, lining up is a very important social rule. However, many visitors are not familiar with this custom. People form lines in many situations, such as trains, buses, restaurants, and elevators. At train platforms, people line up neatly where the doors will open. There are often markings on the ground to show where to line up. Since order is expected, cutting in line feels very disruptive. Even without bad intentions, it may be seen as rude. Another feature is that lines move quietly and smoothly. People rarely push or rush ahead, so it's important to follow the flow around you. If you are unsure where to stand, just look at what others are doing. Simply joining the end of the line is enough. Number 8. Not removing shoes. In Japan, it is common to remove your shoes when entering indoor spaces. However, some visitors enter without taking off their shoes. This is especially common for first-time travelers. Typical places include traditional inns and some hotels. You may also need to remove shoes at temples, shrines, or certain restaurants. A step at the entrance is often a sign that you should take off your shoes. Entering with shoes can be considered disrespectful. It is an important custom to keep indoor spaces clean. If you are unsure, the easiest way is to observe others. If others are removing their shoes, you should do the same. Number 9. Onsen rules. Onsen are a popular experience in Japan, but they have unique rules. The most important rule is to wash your body before entering the bath. Onsen are for relaxing, not for cleaning your body. You also do not wear swimsuits. Bathing is done nude. This can be surprising for many visitors. You should not put your towel into the bath. Many people place their small towel on their head. If you have long hair, it's polite to tie it up. Another important point is tattoos. Some facilities may restrict entry if you have tattoos. Recently, more places allow you to cover them with stickers. Onsen are meant to be relaxing, so keep your voice down. If you follow these basics, you can enjoy the experience without any issues. Number 10. Cash versus card confusion. Many people think Japan is a cash-only country. As a result, some travelers carry a lot of cash. On the other hand, some believe everything can be paid by card. In reality, neither assumption is completely correct. Credit card acceptance has increased in Japan. You can usually use cards at hotels, major stores, and restaurants. However, small shops and rural areas may still be cash only. Some transportation options and vending machines may also require cash. That's why it's best to have both cash and cards. You don't need excessive cash, but having none can be risky. In addition, IC cards are very convenient in Japan. They can be used not only for transport, but also at convenience stores. The key is to choose the right payment method depending on the situation. Number 11. ATM and foreign cards. In Japan, not all ATMs accept foreign cards. Many travelers run into trouble because they don't know this. Even bank ATMs may not support international cards. As a result, some people struggle to withdraw cash. Convenience stores are the most reliable places for international ATMs. 7 bank ATMs at 7-Eleven support many foreign cards. You can often use ATMs at Family Mart and Lawson as well. Airports also have compatible ATMs. However, availability may depend on the time of day. You should also be aware of withdrawal fees. It's often more efficient to withdraw a larger amount at once. Before traveling, check if your card works with international ATMs. Number 12. Not using IC cards. One major reason travel becomes inconvenient in Japan is not using an IC card. IC cards make it easy to pay for transportation. You don't need to buy tickets every time, and you can pass through gates smoothly. However, some travelers don't use them because they are unaware of how useful they are. For first-time visitors, buying tickets can take time. Train routes and fares can be confusing. With an IC card, you can avoid all of this hassle. You can also use it on buses, not just trains. In addition, it can be used at convenience stores and vending machines. This also reduces the need to carry coins. You can easily buy and recharge it at stations. Once you have one, it works in many areas across Japan. Even for short trips, it makes a big difference. Number 13. Using taxis too much. Taxis in Japan are very convenient and safe. However, using them too often can become expensive. Compared to many countries, taxi fares in Japan are relatively high. Even short rides can cost more than expected. On the other hand, public transportation in Japan is very well developed. You can reach most places by train or bus. They are also relatively affordable and punctual. In cities, trains are often faster than taxis. That's why public transport is usually the better option. However, there are situations where taxis are useful. For example, late at night, early morning, or when you have large luggage. They are also helpful when going to places far from stations. It's important to use them depending on the situation. Number 14. Underestimating travel time. Transportation in Japan is convenient, but many people underestimate the time it takes. Even if places look close on a map, they can take longer to reach. In big cities, even moving inside a station can take time. Major stations in Tokyo are huge, and transfers can take more than 10 minutes. Trains run frequently, but transfers can be complicated. Walking up and down stairs and between platforms also takes effort. At tourist spots, crowds can slow you down as well. That's why it's important to allow extra time for travel. It's safe to allow at least 10 minutes for transfers. It may take even longer in unfamiliar places. Having extra time helps you avoid stress. As a result, your entire trip will go more smoothly. Number 15. Not making reservations. In Japan, reservations are important in many situations. However, some travelers try to manage everything on the spot. As a result, they may be denied entry or have to wait a long time. At popular restaurants, reservations are often required. It's not uncommon for places to be fully booked. The same applies to attractions and activities. Tickets can sell out in advance. In Japan, a reservation means your spot is guaranteed. This is especially important on weekends and during peak seasons. On the other hand, not everything needs to be reserved. Focus on reserving popular places or time-specific activities. A little preparation can make a big difference. Number 16. Rush hour trains. Trains in Japan are very convenient, but conditions change depending on the time of day. Rush hour is something you need to be especially careful about. During morning and evening commute times, trains become extremely crowded. The level of crowding can be surprising for first-time visitors. On packed trains, you may barely be able to move. It becomes even more difficult if you have large luggage. Stations and platforms also get crowded, which can slow you down. For tourists, this can be a very stressful experience. Rush hour is generally around 7 to 9 a.m. and 5 to 7 p.m. It's best to avoid these times if possible. Number 17. Missing the last train. In Japan, trains do not run all night. Most lines have a last train, and missing it limits your options. In major cities, the last train is usually around midnight. After that, you won't be able to return by train. Many people lose track of time while sightseeing or dining. As a result, some travelers get stuck. If you miss it, you'll likely need to take a taxi. However, taxis in Japan can be expensive. In some cases, it can cost more than a hotel stay. That's why it's important to check the last train time in advance. You can easily check it using smartphone apps. Starting your journey a bit earlier can help you avoid this problem. When planning your evening, always consider your return time. Number 18. Poor hotel location choice. One often overlooked factor when choosing a hotel is its location. Many people choose based only on price or appearance. However, a poor location can cost you a lot of travel time. Hotels far from stations can be inconvenient. Since trains are the main way to get around, access to a station is crucial. If it takes more than 10 minutes on foot, it can become tiring. It's also important to check access to major attractions. Number 19. Over-tourism awareness. In recent years, over-tourism has become a major issue in Japan. Popular destinations attract large number of visitors. In places like Kyoto and parts of Tokyo, heavy crowds are common. Tourists themselves may also find it less enjoyable. Long waits and crowds can be exhausting. That's why it's important to plan when and where you visit. Visiting early in the morning or on weekdays can make a big difference. Consider exploring less crowded areas as well. This can give you a more relaxed experience. Number 20. Photography manners. In Japan, photography manners are also important. Many visitors break these rules without realizing it. One important point is photographing on private property. Taking photos in front of shops or homes can cause problems. You should avoid taking photos without permission. You should also be careful when photographing people. Taking photos of strangers without consent is considered rude. Always ask for permission before taking photos. There are also many places where photography is not allowed. Photography may be restricted in temples and museums. It's important to check the signs carefully. Flash photography may also be prohibited. At busy spots, people sometimes block paths to take photos. You should be aware of where and when you stop. Just knowing a few rules and customs can completely change your experience in Japan. Prepare well and make the most of your time in Japan. We hope this guide helps you have an amazing trip. Well, that's it for today. See you in the next video.